Okay, so today is Friday, March 27th. And gotta start off with the good news and the bad news. First, good news for me. I don't think it matters for you, but it's good news for me. When you are watching this video for the first time, well, who knows? But for most of you, when you're watching this video for the first time, I won't be in Florida, I hope. Maybe I'll be up close to the Panhandle. The country is, in my opinion, heading towards a lockdown, even if the president doesn't call for a national lockdown. I think that Governor DeSantis of Florida is very close to doing so. And I think that many of the states in between Florida and my home in Utah are really close to doing so. So I'm taking off right now before it gets crazy. I just think it's time to go. And I think you guys will be fine. Before I leave today, tomorrow morning, because I'll be leaving early in the morning tomorrow morning. Before I leave tomorrow morning, I will be filming the video for Monday. And I'll be, putting the assignments up for Monday this morning while this video is processing and uploading. So today's Thursday, if you want to know, Thursday morning. 99% of all my stuff is already in storage. All I have to do basically is load my table that this is sitting on and my computers and my school books and some food into my element, and I'm gone. Probably have to make one more stop over to the storage facility. But that's where we are. Okay. Regarding the exordium, an interesting thing I noticed, I never taught you guys how to write a thesis statement. I didn't even teach the guys last semester, and I probably should have. And I know why I didn't. Last semester, I asked for a reading, got the first reading response in regarding Lucian Offenhate, and then I realized nobody knew how to write a paragraph. I was like, what the hell? How do people not know how to write a paragraph? It was quite shocking to me. And so I redid the entire class plan, and we started focusing on how to write paragraphs. And I guess I should have known, but I didn't. So next semester I'm going to start off with how to write a paragraph, and then we're going to move into cool stuff like how to write a thesis statement as probably the second or third thing I teach. It sucks. So we're going to work on thesis statements. They're not hard to write. There are some simple rules. And by the way, I want to let you know, I have been thinking about this. When I wrote that working thesis statement for you guys, I want to let you know, I broke the rules on purpose. But it's because in a working thesis sentence, you can. And that's because you're going to change it. So I wrote that working thesis statement because it's a good research working thesis statement. However, you change it. By the way, this is what you do with your working thesis statement. And I did it, but I've already packed it away. So you take your working thesis and you write it on a post-it note, on one of the bigger ones, and you put it next to your computer. Take all the other crap that's on your computer monitor and have that one post-it note with your research thesis on it. You put it right there. And that way you're always looking at it and thinking about it. So I did do that, but I'm actually filming this on my tablet. Not my tablet. Everything's on the tablet. Anyway, whatever. I'll be uploading this on my laptop. My desktop's already put away. Anyway, so here's the thesis. I will show, in my paper, I will show how Faulkner weaved his way through crazy awesome prose to expose the sin of the White South depicted in his novel Light in August without being didactic. So there are a lot of problems in that thesis statement. There's some, not grammar problems, but some intention, they're problems, And so I want to show you what the first revision looked like, and then how you guys can work on your own, and then some good rules. All right, so real quick, first of all, There were billions of sins committed as a result of slavery in the United States, not just one. And Faulkner depicts many of the sins that came during the Great Depression. But he's writing a novel, and so in a novel you kind of have to focus things down. And so he focuses his novel down to one sin. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to read the novel. Actually, by the end of the semester, when you have the 6-part essay all written out, and you guys can look at how it works properly, you'll be able to see what the one sin is. Next, in many of the instructions I found online, I noticed everything is geared to either regarding writing a thesis. Everything is geared towards a 3-part or 4-part essay, mostly 4-part essays. This means that most online tools will insist that you insert your thesis into the first or second paragraph, where the Romans wanted it in the Divisio. I put it in the Divisio, which in a 6-part essay is usually the 3rd or 4th paragraph. Sometimes the 5th, depending on how long your paper is. For mine, it'll be probably the 5th. I'm looking at a pretty long narration, but it's a 25-page paper, so no big deal. Regarding, it could be in the 6th, but regarding that, you do want something that functions similar to a thesis early on in the paper, if it's a longer paper. But in a short paper like we're doing, having it in the Divisio is fine. But for those of you who are just uncomfortable doing that, you're like, I can't deal with it, go ahead and put the thesis in the first paragraph. I'm not going to freak out about that. But if you do that, you do have to reword that thesis in your Divisio. Okay? So you have to restate it, reword it briefly in the Divisio if you do place your thesis in your introduction. So problems with the working thesis. So I already read, the working thesis to you. And on this slide you can see it right there. Here are the changes I know I have to make. Obvious signaling language like in my paper. That's actually a mapping move. That's something you can say with mapping, but you can't say it in your thesis. Okay. Do not use slang or colloquialisms like crazy awesome. Okay, I can do that in a working thesis, no problem. But I can't do it in an actual formal thesis statement. And then avoid vague language like the sin. Okay. That I'm leaving in there until the very end. I still have to work out the exact verbiage I want to use for the sin Faulkner describes. Because it's a good one. Okay. And it's a bad one. It's an evil one. And it was horrible. Happened all the time. I mean, some of the lynchings that happened since then were because of this same sin. It was horrible. But remember, he's writing about the Great Depression. So here are some good habits that you want when you're writing a thesis statement. Unless you're writing a technical report, avoid technical language. Okay, know your audience. So if you're in a chem class and everything you're going to be writing about in the paper you write in there is chemistry oriented, then fine. Use the technical language, otherwise don't. Always avoid jargon and slang unless you are confident your audience will be familiar with it. Always. So where I said crazy awesome, can't use it. Avoid vague language like interesting, negative, exciting, unusual, and difficult. The reason is those words are vague. You can actually include a very precise word, and those words are not precise. And avoid abstract words such as society, values, or culture. And then use your keyword authoritatively. So my keyword is sin. Okay? All right. So I do use it in there. So 2 examples. Actually, I have 4 examples, but here are the first 2. So avoid merely announcing the topic. Your original and specific angle should be clear. In this way, you will tell your reader why your take on the issue matters. So original thesis, in this paper, I will discuss the relationship between fairy tales and early childhood, which is not bad. However, revised thesis, not just empty stories for kids, fairy tales shed light on the psychology of young children. Even better. Because then you're taking the action, the reason why is you're taking the action away from you. You're actually going to put the action on the fairy tales because you're saying what the fairy tales are doing. That's what I'm doing in my thesis. I'm taking the action away from me and I'm putting the action on Faulkner. Faulkner is telling. Okay. Next, avoid making universal or pro-con judgments that oversimplify complex issues. Just like with the Coates paper. I don't want you guys saying yes or no that you agree with Coates, because it's too complex, too difficult. So in this one, the original thesis, we must save the whales. Well, revised thesis, because our planet's health may depend on biological diversity, we should save the whales. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? The first one, it's very strident. It's very, very indicating of a polemic or a partisan opinion. In the next one, this one's a little bit less, it's still a little polemic, but it's not so much. It's just a shade in one direction. All right, two more examples, the last two. When you make a subjective judgment call, specify and justify your reasoning. Just because is not a good reason for an argument. Original thesis. Socialism is the best form of government for Kenya. Revised thesis. If the government takes over industry in Kenya, the industry will become more efficient. Do you see what they did? They took a very general, socialism is the best form for government. What they did then is they took it and they specified it and said, industry will become more efficient under socialism in Kenya. I don't know if that's true. However, that is the claim of socialism. Avoid merely reporting a fact. Say more than what is already proven fact. Go further with your ideas. Otherwise, why would your point matter? Original thesis. Hoover's administration was rocked by scandal. Yes. It's true. By the way, people are comparing the Hoover administration to the Trump administration right now, and it's turning out to be very prescient. Revised thesis. The many scandals of Hoover's administration revealed basic problems with the Republican Party's nominating process. Yeah. Basic problems. So, here's my thesis rewrite. In my working thesis, there's all that. I've read it already. Here's a possible revision, and I like this a lot better. This is getting closer to what I want. I'll probably rewrite it 2 more times. Without being didactic, Faulkner exposes the sin of state-sponsored murder of Joe Christmas, a passing black man, through lynching in his novel Light in August. The sin is starting to become apparent. Do you see what I'm saying? It is good to have a working thesis. My big, broad, open, very wide working thesis was good. Now I'm starting to refine it, because it helps you with your research. But be prepared to revise your working thesis, tightening it up and making it more robust. That's one of the biggest things about the revision process. So you took your paper that you wrote before, and now we're in the process of tightening it, sharpening it, and making it stronger. That's what we have to do here. We have to be able to revise and make things tighter. So this is an example of a strong revision. Can you see how I restructured the paper? I took the action away from me. I put the action on Faulkner, and I exposed what the sin was. Now, I think the language is still kind of clunky, and it still sounds too much like one of my a political cause I believe in, which Black Lives Matter. So what I have to do then is start to move towards something that's a little bit a little bit less polemic, a little bit less partisan, however, still exposing the sin of lynching in the American South. Okay? Faulkner did, I do recommend the novel. It is a difficult book to read, though. He makes life hard for the reader because on purpose. He's a very skilled, very good writer, but it's a brilliant novel. I do recommend it. It is hard. More stuff on the exordium. Use a little pathos in your introduction. So now that we just did the thesis statement stuff, we're moving on to the exordium. Okay, so do use a little pathos in your introduction. You are supposed to show why your paper is important. This and your conclusion are your WTF moments. Now, I'm not sure how I will write my paper yet, but it will probably be something along the line of unsanctioned executions, but still essentially state-sponsored murders like lynchings, has long been a way for the white power structure in the United States to enforce its social standards upon black people. This is only a possibility. I will revise this. But this is my stakes sentence. This isn't the thesis sentence. This is the stakes. Okay? This shows the stakes of my paper without being the thesis. So there's that. Remember, though, that your first sentence must reveal the subject of the paper. This is why a hook is such a killer. Often the hook is a distraction away from revealing what the actual subject is. So this sentence that I just wrote, this could act as either the stakes, or if I tighten it up a little bit and move lynching into the first or second word, that would be a very strong opening sentence for a paper. So do you see what I'm saying? So this is how the exordium. So right there, that's a very emotional sentence. But I don't have to say that I agree or disagree. Now, like I said, this is still a little bit too partisan sounding, so I do have to revise it. However, it's getting there. That's how revision works. You put something down, leave it for a day or two, come back to it, say, oh, okay, you know. All right, the narration. In a paper that has research, always plan on having 2 narratio paragraphs. The reason is so you can thoroughly define your subject matter and also include the most important or the focal quote from your primary text. Think about having a double quote paragraph where the very last quote used is the focal quote from your primary text. One of the most important things is that your keyword must feature heavily in this section. So I think sin will probably be the subject of every single sentence in my narrations, except for maybe one of the quotes. One of the most important things, as I said, is that your keyword must feature heavily.
Well, hi everybody. I have to cut in right here in this video because I forgot to do something that was really important. I forgot to describe fully what's going on with the Divisio and also the Reprehensio. I filmed this video 6 o'clock this morning, and so I was obviously really tired, and something happened. I had to stop making the video for about 20 minutes, and so I came back, finished the video, and then I went out and did some stuff, filmed the video for Monday, and then now I'm back to doing this. So here we go. The Divisio. In this slide, you'll see there are three things here. I have my possible thesis, my possible mapping, and my possible transition. Now, and by the way, the camera's shaking. It's because I'm holding this, in my hand. So in the possible thesis, you've already seen that, but the possible mapping goes like this. It says, in this paper, I examine the nature of type 1 and type 2 sins as defined by Hick and Tillich. I show how Faulkner depicts the complications of race in the White South. During the Great Depression, I discuss the focus of Faulkner's novel, The Murder of Joe Christmas, and I reveal how the reader is implicated in Christmas murder. Now, I want to let you know that's a first draft. It's going to change. The mapping is really clunky and rather clumsy. However, what it does do is set up what will be happening in this paragraph. And then the possible transition, and it's also pretty clunky, but it's setting the stage. Murder, lynching, dehumanizing, labeling, marginalization comprise a tiny list of sins depicted by Faulkner. A tiny list. Oh my gosh. He puts it all in there. But Faulkner does show a specific great sin. So what you see here are 3 sentences that need work. However, they are a divisio and they will work for outlining purposes. Now, I'm not requiring in your outline that you show this much work, but it'd be cool if you had something like, here, I'm gonna pause my sound on my computer. 1 second, please. I doubt the cars sue me if you're playing in the background, but that comedian Jim Gaffigan, he's very active on YouTube, and he might sue the shit out of me, so not including that. So anyway, back to you can, if you put stuff in here, in the outline, if you write the full things up, that's fine, you don't have to. But if you do put stuff in there, be prepared to revise, because that's going to be really important. But have a possible thesis, possible mapping, and possible transition. So on the reprehensio, this is a regular single quote or double quote paragraph where you bring in more research to provide a counter voice to your primary argument. In your revision, you continue to use your primary text as the source of your counter argument, if that's what you're doing. So if you want to keep using the one you had from before, that's fine. However, outline it, be prepared to show changes. Remember, you have to do 60 to 80% revision on everything. Now, also plan on doing if you are using the original counter argument that you had before, bring in another quote to go with it from an outside source to support what you're saying. So that way it's a double quote paragraph. Follow the rules that I showed you before. There is a video that I added here on YouTube on how to write a double quote paragraph. Look at my channel and you'll be able to find it. And then you have the quote from your primary text. That would be the second thing. So your quote from the primary text you want to use, that would be the second quote. The first quote in the double quote paragraph would be your researched quote. All right. And okay, I'm going to stop right there. I think we have everything else, and the video will continue from here on. Have fun.
So what I expect for this assignment, there are specific areas I will be grading you on for thoroughness. Goals, keywords, and phrases, works cited, in-text citations, 1 exordium paragraph, 2 narratio paragraphs, 1 divisio paragraph, 1 reprehensio paragraph, context, analysis, and interpretation. Those are the things I'm requiring. The only things you don't see there are the conclusion, the support paragraphs, and the topic sentence and the transition sentences. Okay? So that should there's 5 paragraphs I'm requiring right there. I've told you that in a 6-part essay, you need to have more support paragraphs than you have other paragraphs combined. So when you add the conclusion to that, that means there will be 6 paragraphs of all that other stuff. You have to have more than that in support paragraphs. So you're looking at 7 support paragraphs. That's how a good 6-part essay works. So I want to see if you guys can do that. It'll be interesting. All right, so that's what I expected. Regarding the favorite book thing in the little online survey, it was really interesting. What was it? 23 people said, okay, I'll send you a picture of their favorite book. That's what you said here. I got like 7. Send me a picture of you and your favorite book. And if your favorite book is a comic book, guess what? Comic books are books. I love comic books. Actually, I am writing 1 comic book this semester, and then I'm drawing a comic book for another class. It is a legitimate form of literature. Okay? People are getting PhDs in comic studies, just so you know. So send me a picture of you and your favorite book, even if it happens to be your favorite issue of Spider-Man or Archie Comics. By the way, Archie Comics are brilliant. They're one of the strongest comics in this country. All right, peer reviews. Peer reviews are really cool. I love them, and some of you guys love them too. So here's the deal. You want some extra credit, or you're just worried. Find someone you want to peer review with. Email each other. Even if that person is in a different class, but is still taught by me. Okay? So there are a couple of you guys who have friends in between the two classes. Partner up together. Communicate through email. When you do it though, you have to CC copy me on all of those emails. Okay? And then once you do the peer review and everything, nice extra credit work. But you guys have to arrange it yourselves. Okay? This is completely voluntary. If nobody does it, cool. But if some people do it, I'll probably throw 15 points on this current essay. I mean, that's a letter grade right there on the current essay. You want that A? You want that A guaranteed? Turn that shit in. Alright. And then if you got extra that goes over the top, well, guess what? That applies to your other papers automatically, the way the system is set up. Okay, so for Monday, by the way, if you were thinking about it, it is possible to earn more than 100% in this class. Alright, a couple people right now, the way it is already structured, a couple people already have that over 100%. So those of you who are in the 90s going like, hey, I'd like that. Do it, man. Do this. Do the little peer review thing. So for Monday and Wednesday, on Monday you will need to turn in the full and complete 100% outline, which will include the conclusion. And then on Wednesday next week, you need to turn in your rough draft. Alright? So those are what's going on next week. Emails, I'm very happy with how you guys have been working on your emails. Most of you guys write very good emails. And I'm not angry at you guys as a class. I just think for some of you guys, there needs to be some improvement. So that's it. You guys just watched this video. It's probably close to 25 to 27 minutes long. I don't know yet. So I drove, while you guys were watching this, I probably put about 30 to 40 miles down because I'll be speeding. I'm just a rotten guy. Alright, there we go. Thanks so much for watching. And the next video will be out on Monday. I will have filmed it before I leave Boca. I've already got it written pretty much. And then there we go. Thank you so much. You guys have fun. Bye.